Holy moly, rock and rolly. It's Wednesday, it's noon. Actually, it's a little bit afternoon. And guys, I'm running a few minutes late today, but I wanted to hop on for just a few minutes and give you guys a couple words of encouragement here today on something that I think about a lot. And if you hanged around me, I don't even know, is that a right word? If you hang around me for any length of time, you'll probably hear me talking about this over and over, and it's something that I think we all need to remember. So I wanted to hop on today and talk about. And by the way, if you're here today, really quickly, let me put this up. If you happen to stop in here, would love for you to say hi. Just go on whatever page you're on, go into the comments and say, "Hey, I'm here. Would love to connect with you." If you're on Facebook, and I think that's the only place we're broadcasting today. You can go over to Facebook, StreamYard.com/Facebook, and connect over there. And once you connect, then you can comment in the comments, and I can see you and say hi. And so would love to say hi to you. But anyway, it's Wednesday, and a lot of times I think when we're growing into new areas, like most of us are, like all of you guys are, because you're leaders. So if you're growing, part of that is because you're moving into leadership. And guess what? Leadership is not easy. It was not meant to be easy. Okay, that's why they call it leadership, because few people dare to do it. But you guys are leaders, and you're becoming leaders every day. And a lot of times, as we're growing into a new area of expertise, like new construction, like sales, or even like becoming a realtor. Um, there are times, and tell me if you've experienced this, okay? There are times when it just feels like, oh my gosh, what is the next step? There's so much feeling sometimes of just overwhelm and kind of chaos. I don't know what to do next. Did you ever feel that way? Did you ever feel that way when you're growing into a new area? It's like, man, what do I do? What have I signed up for? Why is this so doggone hard? Why don't I have it yet? Why have I not achieved the pinnacle of success with whatever this thing I'm going after? And of course, we're all out going after, most of the people that I'm around are going after, how do I become the dominant, the preeminent realtor or builder salesperson for new construction in your local market? And when we're stepping into a new area of expertise where we're beginning to learn, I hear so many times from realtors, I don't know what to do, or it feels overwhelming. And a lot of times when we're in that, I wanted to stop on and just kind of speak to that for a couple of minutes and give you a couple of kind of words of encouragement, if I can, about if you're in that stage, and if you're moving through a growth stage in your career, in your business, in your life right now. The first thing that I want to tell you is, if you're in overwhelm, if you're feeling like there's this new domain, I don't get it, I don't understand it all yet, and it feels too big and scary and stuff, keep in mind that you may be exactly where you're supposed to be. And I won't go into the whole thing, but there are 4 levels of learning when you are moving into expertise in something new. The first level of learning, when you're starting a new area of expertise, and that could be as a realtor, it could be in new construction, could be in something else, right? But whenever you're starting a new domain and you're really starting to dive into this thing, and I want to learn this thing, the very first stage of it is a stage that they call unconscious incompetence. Have you guys ever heard of this? Unconscious incompetence. And that's probably the most dangerous stage, because when people are in unconscious incompetence, this first stage of learning any new domain, when we're in this first stage, a lot of times we don't know, and we don't know that we don't know. And that's a dangerous place to be, because that's when people are like, oh, I don't have any good questions about this thing, so I must be an expert. And there's something in our subconscious that makes us think that, yeah, I got this. I just know it, because I don't really have great questions around it. Haven't had a whole lot of experience with it yet, a whole lot of success. We just assume, and people do at times, that they know everything that they need to know. But what happens is once you move through that first stage of learning in this new area of expertise, this new domain, and so the first level is unconscious incompetence, and then about 3 to 6 months in, maybe sooner, but if it's a big area of expertise, it's going to take a few months. But you start to get into this next stage of learning that is called conscious incompetence. So you went from unconscious, I was incompetent about this thing, and I didn't even know how, how I was unconsciously incompetent about it. And then you start to get into it a little bit more, and you're going, oh my word, oh, there's a lot to learn here. Oh man, I don't know. And I had somebody a couple of weeks ago that we were talking and was telling me, and I hear this from realtors a lot. There's so much to learn, and it feels somewhat overwhelming at times. And and for realtors, if you're in that or in whatever you're doing, I want to encourage you to change your perspective on it a little bit, okay? Because in many cases, that is exactly where you should be, because once you start to feel that overwhelm and you start to go, oh my gosh, there's a lot to learn, what that means is that you move from unconsciously incompetent to consciously incompetent. Now you know that there's a lot to learn. And that's a scary place to be for a lot of people, because we start to realize, man, there's a lot to learn here. And guess what? There's always a lot to learn. When you are moving into an area of expertise and you truly want to become an expert in something, you have to realize that this is a marathon. It's not a sprint, okay? It is a process. It's not a project. It's not a one and done. Okay, I read this thing, I read this book, I watched this video, I, joined up with Hoodle, I had a conversation with Ron, and or whatever it is you're doing, and you do it one time and it's just automatic. That's not the way business growth is. It's not the way personal growth is. Now, Cindy and I are gardeners, and one of the things that always fascinates me in the garden when I'm out watching things grow is that sometimes growth is so slow it's almost imperceptible. You guys know this. That there are some things that I can put in when I'm always in a hurry. When it's time to get the garden out and it's time for the tomatoes to come on, I am in a hurry. I want it to grow fast. And some things do, but those things also don't last very long. Plants that grow fast, they usually, they're done by fall. And other things that are growing that are going to last a long time, like an oak tree in our yard, it's the growth is imperceptible. And most days you don't see it at all until you step back about 6 months, until you step back about a year later, and then you start going, wow, that has really grown. Guess what? It is the same way in our lives. And it's the same way with business. And it's the same way in our lives. It's the same way in my life and in Cindy's life and growing Hoodle, that when we started this, and here's another little clue for you in this. When we started Hoodle, it was because we saw a problem. And I didn't know at the time how big of a problem it was. But we began trying to address a problem that new construction buyers have. And that is, the buyers don't really have very good guidance from realtors in any given market when it comes to new construction. Every once in a while, there's a realtor in every market, who really has dove into this. But for the most part, most realtors have not. And it's a problem, because a lot of times realtors don't even know how to lead when it comes to new construction. We can't find the neighborhoods. We can't find most of the builders. So we don't understand the process well with new construction many times. We don't understand the experience for the buyer of whether they go through a production builder or a semi-custom builder, a custom builder. There's a lot. There's a lot that we don't understand. And what happens a lot of times is we look at a problem and we just go, man, I am not going to tackle that. I'm going the other way. But I got to tell you something. Tackling the problem is where the big opportunity is. I carry this coin around with me a lot. I keep it on my desk, over in the corner of my desk, just to remind me of one thing. Wherever there's a big problem, the other side of that is a big opportunity. Okay. Right now in new construction, there's an enormous opportunity because there's some big problems that need to be addressed, right? But there's a lot of people who want to build a new home. And so we started with it, and we discovered a big problem, and we found some solutions to it that, first happened with my personal business. My business began to grow and explode in new construction as a realtor. And then we started teaching other realtors. And it's very easy for us to, we're in this society where it's very easy for us to look at something and we expect to have immediate success. We all want immediate success. It's kind of like, we've become accustomed to the McDonald's drive-up window, and I'm not picking on McDonald's. Probably a lot I could pick on with McDonald's, but there's other things that they've done very, very well, okay, as a business. But when you're growing as a person, when you're growing inside, you're growing in your wisdom, you're growing spiritually, or you're growing a business, it takes time. And it is not like, I drive up to the drive-up window and order my Big Mac and order my fries. And, 3 minutes later, I'm pulled around to the second window, give them my credit card, and they hand me my meal. And it's one and done, and I drive away, and then I wonder why the fries are cold, right? That is not the way personal growth is. The way personal growth is, the way business growth is, the way spiritual growth is it takes time, and it's a struggle. And there are many times when we feel like, man, I don't know, this is too big for me. This is too big for me. And I got to tell you something. It is not too big for you. It is not too big for you. If you've had a challenge this week, and I don't know if you have, I don't know if this is speaking to anybody that's on here today. If you've had a challenge this month, if you've had a challenge this year, it's okay. All right. If it feels overwhelming, it's still okay. It's still okay. And very often you're exactly where you're supposed to be because you're in growth. If it was comfortable and you were completely in your comfort zone and I got this, I know every bit of it, guess what? You would not be growing. You would be living last year. But there's something that is absolutely true that I want you to recognize about where you are today, okay? No matter what you're facing business-wise, career-wise, financially, growth-wise, everything that you have experienced up to this very moment, everything that you experienced this morning, yesterday, last week, last quarter, last year, all of your life, everything that you've gone through, good, bad, indifferent, it doesn't matter. All of that has prepared you for one moment. And that moment is right now. And that day is today. I don't mean to sound preachy, but I really believe this, that everything that you've gone through is preparing you for this moment. And everything that you go through today is preparing you for tomorrow. You know more, you are more prepared today than you were yesterday. And that you certainly than you were a quarter or a month ago, a quarter ago, or a year ago. And what I want to remind you is just to change your perspective about the thing that you're going through. That we all have to be reminded of. I do too. I have to constantly be reminded that the thing that I'm going through, the thing that I'm growing through, I'm still growing, and so are you. There's a particular so a couple things I want to tell you about this. In your growth, and as you're looking at the challenges and problems that you're facing in growing your business and learning this new domain and becoming the go-to realtor for new construction, or becoming the go-to realtor at all for anything. When you face these problems, one of the things that you need to do is recognize, number one, that you're exactly where you should be. Okay. If you're learning, you're pushing, you're growing, then you're exactly where you should be. Don't be afraid of it. Embrace the chaos. As I always said, you know, when you get into something and you're going, man, this is big. This is it feels unwieldy sometimes. You're growing. Embrace the chaos of that and recognize that you're just fine. You are just fine. Number two, become fascinated with it. If you go, I don't understand this. I don't understand everything that I need to do to drive more leads, or to, connect with builders, or connect with new construction buyers, or whatever it is, or build the systems, or build the database, or build the process. Become fascinated with that thing. If there's something that feels unwieldy, it feels scary to you, a lot of times the same emotion that drives fear that causes us to run away is the same emotion that we can turn into fascination. So take your fears and turn it into fascination. Wow, that's interesting. I don't know everything there is to know about this thing, okay? And turn it into a fascination, and all of a sudden it becomes more of a game to you. And one of the things that you can do is, if you find the thing that you're fearful of, if you find the thing that you're avoiding, what are you avoiding? Okay, if there's hey, I know what my next step is, or I know what my next few steps are, but there's something that's holding me back. There's something that's keeping me from moving forward. What is that next step? What is the fear? And then one of the things that you want to do is you want to begin to turn it into a question. Because most of the time, guys, I've been doing this for a long, long time, not just in new construction, but in business. I've probably been growing businesses since before many of you were on the planet. I'm not bragging about that, but I got the white hairs to prove it. But one of the things that you find is, if I don't know, if I'm avoiding something, if I'm fearful about something, then one of the things that I've learned is to, number one, break it down. Start to break it down into a smaller piece. Well, this feels unwieldy. Okay, well, what's the very next step? If you're not sure, it seems like there's 3 or 4 steps, then write them all down. Okay, and then with each one of them, I want you to turn it into a question, or 2 or 3 questions. Sometimes you can take a problem and you begin to turn it into a question. When you turn it into a question, your brain does something different that it wasn't doing before. Instead of running away from it, your conscious, your subconscious mind starts asking, that's interesting. How do I deal with this? Where can I learn the answer to this? Where can I find it? Who can I reach out to? What can I read? What can I watch? So take the problem and turn it into a fascination. Take the fear and turn it into a fascination. Remember that it is a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's a process. It's not a project. It's not driving up to McDonald's. Realize that you don't need to be the smartest one in the room. You don't. What you need to do is surround yourself with people that are a little bit further ahead than you are, and start to follow them and ask questions and identify those mentors and start growing yourself. Respect your growth. Respect the fact that it takes time. And you have to respect, you really have to respect your learning with this. Don't put yourself into a box of, well, I haven't achieved that. I'm not Gary Vaynerchuk yet, or I'm not, Grant Cardone, or Russell Brunson, or whoever it is you look up to. Okay, respect the fact that you are in growth process and you're in growth mode, and that just takes time. Okay, and the more you respect yourself for it and respect this process of growing slowly but consistently, the easier it becomes to gain your confidence, to gain your voice, and not feel like you have to have every answer. You know, a lot of times realtors are afraid, or they demonstrate that they're fearful by not going out and talking to builders, or not going out and saying, hey, I'm growing in this area, I'm developing expertise. We're so afraid that I don't have all the answers. But guess what? The best salespeople don't have all the answers. The best leaders don't have all the answers. But they have really good questions. And I think when you begin to accept in yourself that I'm in growth mode, that I'm in learning mode, and stop putting on yourself that I have to have all the answers, it takes off a ton of responsibility and fear. That you can begin to go out and talk to builders, talk to developers, talk to your prospects, whether it's buyers, builders, developers, or whoever it is. And the new approach that you're going to take is not, I've got all the answers, I'm the expert. But you know what, um, John, this is an area that I'm fascinated with and I absolutely love, and I'm growing into becoming an expert in it. But I've got a lot of questions. And I wonder if I could get together with you and ask you a little bit. And guess what? The faster you turn into that gal or that guy who is there to learn and not to say, I've got it all of a sudden, you're going to find people that mentors are going to be coming to you who want to help you with that. And one of the worst things that we can do is to walk in and pretend like we've got it all figured out. None of us do. You don't, I don't, none of us do. So we need to walk into this process with some humility and recognizing that we are growing and there's a lot of other people that can teach us. And the sooner you turn on that teachability and that learning mode, instead of I'm the expert, I got it all, guess what? You're going to find people coming around you all over the place that not only want to help coach you, but they begin to recognize you as the expert. Hey, the best leaders and the best salespeople are the ones with the best business questions. So it really, instead of having all the answers, it's really about developing the best questions. I want to show you one little thing here, and then I'm going to kind of wrap up with this. Yeah, I think I've covered most of my points I want to share with you. But I want to share this two little things with you. I remember first time, and you guys have probably seen me do this before because I've seen this illustration, and I always loved this illustration. And I don't know what you see here. Do you see a young woman or do you see an old woman? There's actually both in the picture. And the thing that fascinates me about these type of pictures, these type of diagrams, is how we can view a situation one way, and if we view it one way, then we interact with that situation in that way. A lot of times with builders, realtors are going, well, builders don't like realtors. Well, realtors don't provide value. Yeah, you do. And builders don't like realtors. That's not true. All kinds of myths that we've created, and based on whatever the myth is that or the false belief that you're carrying around, a lot of times it causes you to interact in a certain way. I've got to know it all. I can't go talk to anybody till I know it all. And it causes you to act a certain way. But when you change your perspective, you change your outcomes. And so my big message to you today is, if you identify where your perspective needs to change and begin to challenge your own preconceived notions on the thing. And I want to show you one more slide here. This is one of my favorite of all times quotes, because it reminds me all the time of something. And I recommend you guys take a picture of this or write it down, memorize it, speak it. Here it is. It goes like this. If I can get to it, hang on a second. Sow a thought. You know it? You know it? Have you heard me say it before? Have you read it? When you sow a thought, what happens is you reap an action. So if I have negative thoughts about myself, or my capabilities, or the industry, or a problem, that's going to reap a certain action. But if I change my thoughts about it, wow, this is fascinating. This is an interesting problem. It's a big problem. Hasn't been addressed by very many people. Then all of a sudden, you have a different thought and you reap a different action. Here's the rest of it. Once you sow that action, if it's a positive action, you're going to reap a habit. You do enough positive habits over and over and over and over again. I call enough prospects. I get on the phone enough times. I go knock on enough doors. I talk to enough people. And if it's a positive action, you're going to reap a whole garden. You're going to reap a whole field that's going to be a positive habit. You sow the habit and you reap an entire character. Sow a character and you reap a destiny. And the thing I love about this quote, and I don't even know whose quote this is, but the thing I love about it, I wish I could underline on here, is that it's the things that I think, the thoughts that I allow to dominate my thinking, that ultimately determine my destiny. And it's true for every single one of us, every single one of you. The thoughts that I carry through the day determine my actions, become my habits, become my character, and ultimately lead to my ultimate destiny. So if I want to have a positive outcome, positive destiny, that means I got to have positive thoughts, right? Guys, I don't know if that was helpful for you today. It's something that I think about a lot and often, as we're always in growth. And so many times I have conversations with realtors offline, one by one, and people are telling me, I'm nervous about this, or I don't feel like I've got enough capability, or can I do it? I want you to know you can do it. I want you to know that wherever you are today, don't try to control the outcome. Don't focus just on the end game. Where am I going to be 6 months? Where am I going to be a year from now? Where am I going to be 5 years from now? Break it down to the next step and make sure that you're controlling your thoughts about that next step. Whatever that problem is, it's a big opportunity, okay? Whatever that fear is, whatever the thing that we're avoiding, we can turn that into a question. Instead of running the other direction, our brain starts working overtime, even while you're sleeping, going, that's interesting. What's the answer to this? What's the answer to this question? And if you ever want to talk about any of this, if you ever want to, have a one-on-one, I'm here. Okay. You can always reach out to me and I'm happy to hop on a call and we can talk through it together. I don't have all the answers either, but we're all in growth mode. So don't beat yourself up. If you're in growth mode, it only means you're exactly where you're supposed to be. You're taking the consistent next action, taking imperfect actions every day, and you're growing into something that you don't even know what it's going to look like necessarily 6 months from now, a year from now, but I'm telling you, it's going to be beautiful. So I hope that wasn't overly preachy, but I just felt like I really wanted to share it with you guys the last few weeks. Ralph, oh, thank you. Thank you. I don't know who this is. The quote is from Ralph Waldo Emerson. I need to go find it. I appreciate that. Thank you guys for being with me here today. If you're in new construction and you're part of what we're doing, I'm so glad. And by the way, if you are part of Hoodle as a Philly Realtor, we're meeting tomorrow morning, 9:30 Central Standard in the Zoom room. Gilbert, thank you. Can't wait to see you hopefully tomorrow. And so join us in the Zoom room tomorrow. If you're not part of Hoodle, but you're wanting to learn how to become a leader in new construction, you absolutely have an open window of opportunity right stinking now. Yes, I'm sorry for being so crass there, but right stinking now, you have an amazing opportunity right before you with everything that's going on in the marketplace, everything that's going on. There's an amazing opportunity for realtors to step into this game and become a leader in your market, So guys, thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with me. And hope you have an amazing week, and hope you just go out there and be amazing for somebody else. So this is Ron Williams, and I'll talk to you next Wednesday, if not before. Reach out if you got any problems. Talk to you later. Bye.